Ultimate Ears have released the new Wonderboom 4. This is one of the best sounding compact Bluetooth speakers that you can buy. But how does it compare against the JBL Flip 6? Well, that's what we're here to find out. Oh, and Ultimate Ears have fixed the one thing that really annoyed me about the Wonderboom 3. Let's get into it. So looking at the size of these first, the Wonderboom 4, it's about 10 centimeters tall and wide. It's about 1/3 of a foot and weighs about 420 grams. The Flip 6 on the other hand is 2.6 inches in diameter and it's about 7 inches long. So it's thinner, but it's longer. That extra length does equate to a bit of extra weight though. This is 550 grams. So you definitely do notice the weight difference between the two. The Wonderboom 4 does have this little loop so you can put a carabiner on it for attaching it to anything, and the Flip 6 has this lanyard which I think is more useful than the Wonderboom 4 one, and you can still use a carabiner for hooking that onto stuff as well. Material wise they're actually fairly similar in so much that both of them have this cloth material covering the speakers and they both have rubberized ends. The big difference of the Flip 6 is it has these exposed passive radiators on either side. The Wonderboom 4 does have passive radiators, they're just internal rather than on display. Both of these have similar designs to the rest of their speakers, so all the other Ultimate Ears speakers always have these massive plus and minuses on them, and all the latest JBL speakers have this massive JBL logo on the front. They are both IP67 rated, so they're both dustproof and waterproof. The one advantage the Wonderboom 4 has is that it floats, the Flip 6 sinks. Connectivity wise, both of these support multi-point and stereo pairing, however the Flip 6 also supports Party Boost. So you can pair this with up to 100 other JBL speakers like a Charge 5 or a Pulse 4 or another Flip 6 and play the same music out of all of those speakers at exactly the same time. And that's just something that the Wonderboom 4 doesn't have. What the Wonderboom 4 does have though is better battery life, so you will get 14 hours of battery life out of the Wonderboom 4 and 12 hours out of the Flip 6. They do however both roughly take 2.5 hours to charge, and it's easy to see how charged the Flip 6 is because there's a light on the back that tells you the charging level. There is no light on the Wonderboom 4 other than a red light that turns on when it's super low. You can find out the battery life though by pressing the volume buttons, which will give you an audio signal as to how charged it is. It's kind of useful, it's just not as intuitive as having a charging bar indicator on the back of a speaker like you get with the Flip 6. And the Flip 6 will charge over USB-C, which is on the back, and the Wonderboom 4 finally fixes the one thing that annoyed me with the Wonderboom 3, because that had a micro USB port and this finally has USB-C, which is a massive update for Ultimate Ears across their entire speaker range. The fact that it's one of the biggest updates that they can do to their speakers just shows you how far behind everybody else they are, or they were, but at least they got there in the end. Now sound wise, both of these do sound very differently because they're physically very different and they sound very different, which you'll find out about the sound test in a minute. Physically, inside here are two 40mm full range active drivers, and you've got two passive radiators in here as well that go up to around 86 decibels in volume. The big differentiator here is that the Ultimate Ears speakers here have 360-degree sound. So it doesn't matter where you're sitting around the Wonderboom 4, it sounds exactly the same, and that is really useful for gatherings. Who does gatherings? If you're catching up with mates and you're sitting around a table, you're going down the beach, sitting around a campfire, put this in the middle and the music is going to sound as good to everyone no matter where they sit. That is really useful. It's something that Ultimate Ears have been doing for years. They do it really well. This speaker performs at its best when it's got room to breathe and everyone can hear how good this is. The Flip 6 here, however, handles sound slightly differently because inside here you've got an 80mm woofer which handles the lower frequencies, and you've got a 60mm tweeter which handles the higher frequencies. So you've got two drivers, but technically it's mono sound, but it should sound better because you've got drivers dedicated to different frequencies. You'll hear how it sounds in the sound test in a bit. There are also two passive radios on either end of these to give you a little bit more oomph in the bass department. And volume wise you have 30 watts of power here, you've got 20 watts in the woofer and 10 watts from the tweeter. So enough of me rabbiting on, why don't you just go and hear how they both sound for yourself.
Hey, all work, no pleasure. I ain't here to make friends, big stepper. Hey, bad guy, Heath Ledger. Ready for whatever, I'll be front and center. Don't fly too close to the sun, your body chopped up by propellers. Came in arrogant, but left out in a stretcher. The comparison, y'all know y'all couldn't replicate it. I'm chilling in the desert, I'm good under pressure. Hold it down, look at what we found. This a marathon, not a sprint, let's go 100 miles. I'm a clown, these to the clouds, never coming down. That's the
these do you think sounded the best? Let me know in the comments down below. I thought the Wonderboom 4 sounded more balanced than the Flip 6, and that 360-degree sound was great. The Flip 6, however, I thought definitely had more bass, and the treble was clearer as well, and I think that's helped by those two separate drivers. However, it was also very directional, so it does depend where you sit as to where it's going to sound the best. Preferably you want this right in front of you. Mobile app wise, there is no mobile app support for the Wonderboom 4, so you can't tweak the EQ, you can't get any firmware updates, that's off to the side. The Flip 6, however, does have mobile app support. So there is a 3-band EQ inside the JBL app, which you can use to tweak the sound if you want to. Plus, this can get firmware updates as well. Plus, you can use the app to pair this up with other speakers in either stereo mode or replication duplicate mode. So you've got a lot more options with that mobile app support. Now, price-wise, despite the Wonderboom 4 being relatively new, the retail price of this is $100, but I have seen this discounted down to $80 on Amazon at the moment. The Flip 6 retails for $130, but I've also seen that discounting down to $96 on Amazon as well. So it definitely pays to shop around. So which of these should you buy? Well, I think if you want more bass and you want mobile app support and you want to be able to connect to multiple other speakers, then the JBL Flip 6 is a good buy. If, however, you want a lighter speaker that floats, gives you 360-degree sound and a more balanced sound, then the Wonderboom 4 is a good buy. They're honestly both good speakers, and I don't think you'd be disappointed with whichever one you got. I will put purchase links to them in the description down below so that you can go check them out for yourself. The one thing I would say is that as great as these compact speakers are, they can only go so loud, and certainly when you start pushing the volume of both of these, the Wonderboom 4 especially tails off dramatically in the sound quality department. So if you think you're going to need a louder speaker, then I'd definitely recommend checking out some of the options up here. If you have enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and share it. Consider subscribing if you're not. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.